Happy day, children. In this video, I'm going to teach the poem A Sea of Foliage written by Toru Dutt. And this is the image of the poet. Toru Dutt is one of the pioneer Indian English poets and acquires a prominent place in the history of Indian English literature. Toru Dutt has written both descriptive and narrative verse, but her narrative poems have rich descriptions of nature. Much of her short life was spent in two spacious garden homes, Rambagan and Bagmer in West Bengal. This garden shaped her keen sense of observation and her response to color. Toru Dutt spent most of her life in Kolkata. The family had two houses, one in the city and a country house called Bogmar. This sonnet is about the country residents. The area, Bagmari, is now a built-up suburb of Kolkata. A Sea of Foliage is a sonnet with 14 lines with 3 quatrains and 1 couplet. A quatrain is a stanza in a poem that has exactly 4 lines. So in this poem, we have 3 quatrains, which is of 12 lines, and the last 2 lines is nothing but a couplet. A couplet usually consists of 2 successive lines. In simple couplet form, 2 lines of rhyming poetry. Here comes to the description of the poem. A sea of foliage girds our garden round, but not a sea of dull and varied green. Sharp contrasts of all colors here are seen. The light green, graceful tamarinds abound amid the mango clumps of green profound, and palms arise like pillars grey between, and over the quiet pools the seamills lean, red and startling like a trumpet's sound. In this poem, A Sea of Foliage, Toru Dutt compares the greenery surrounding her family's garden with the sea. She goes on to say that while the sea has an unchanging green color, her garden is filled with different and exciting shades of green. What are they? The light green of the tamarind trees, the deep green of the mango grove, the grey green of the stately palms. A contrast is found in the brilliant red of the flowers of the simul tree, which takes one by surprise like the sudden shrill sound of the trumpet. Here, the poet describes the different shades of her garden, different green color, different green shades of her garden, and the beautiful red. And she's comparing the seamel's tree with the trumpet's sound. And here comes the third stanza. But nothing can be lovelier than the ranges of bamboos to the eastward when the moon looks through their gaps, and the white lotus changes into a cup of silver. One might swoon, drunken with beauty then, or gaze and gaze on a primeval Eden in amaze. She says that the loveliest, however, are the lines of bamboo trees growing towards the eastern side of the garden when the moon shines through the bamboo trees and when the white lotus looks like a silver cup. The scene is so enchanting, isn't it, that one might almost faint, intoxicated by its beauty, or gaze in wonder at what looks like the Garden of Eden, the first garden created by God for Adam and Eve. Here comes the imagery of the poem. There are 3 imageries. The first one is the color image. What is the color image in this poem? The light green tamarind, dark green mango, grey palms and red simmels, white or silver lotus, isn't it? And the second one is the sound image. What is the sound image in this poem? A trumpet sound. And what is the visual image? The visual image is nothing but the garden during the day and during the night. This poem describes a garden as seen in the morning and at night. We know this because the poem describes the different shades of green visible in the garden. These different shades, from light green to grey to deep green, can be distinguished only in daylight. The poem also describes the sight of the moon visible through the bamboo trees. which is a night scene. Here comes the glossary. What does mean by foliage? Foliage is nothing but the vegetation or the greenery. This is the picture of the greenery. And goods. What does mean by goods? Surrounds. Okay. And the third one is unvaried. What is meant by unvaried? Being the same, without change. And what is meant by abound? Exist in large numbers. And what is meant by clumps? Clumps is nothing but the bunches or clusters, things close together. And here we talk about mango clumps, right? And what is meant by green profound? It is nothing other than deep, dark green. What is meant by seamills? This is the picture of seamill, silk cotton trees with red flowers. And what is meant by swoon? Feel dizzy. In amaze. What is meant by in amaze? In amazement or wonder. And this is the picture of the prime evil Eden. What is meant by prime evil Eden? The first garden where, according to the Bible, Adam and Eve, the first human beings, lived. And the theme of the poem is nature abounds in beauty at all times of the day. I repeat, nature abounds in beauty at all times of the day. Thank you. Thank you so much for listening to this video. Have a good day.